Klarna is pretty much going bankrupt because no one is paying them back. Like, they have a record high number of users on the platform. They have 100 million users. But at the same time, no one is paying them back. So they literally reported $136 million of unpaid debt. Like $136 million that people are just not paying back, and they're just, saying fuck it. And now Klarna is at a major loss. Even though they have a record high number of users on the platform, there's more users who are just not paying that shit back. And that's because you guys are letting people finance groceries and finance DoorDash orders. And I feel like people are seeing that and being like, well, actually, if I just do my biggest one right now and then not pay you guys back, I actually am just not going to have to pay you guys back. And then I don't know how much people actually care about things affecting their credit. Like, I don't even think they're thinking like, oh, yeah, like, this is going to affect whatever, blah, 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 blah. I just think people are like, whatever, I'm running off on the plug right now. Like, literally, people are running off on the plug. Dead ass. With Klarna. They said, actually, yeah, I agree to all your terms and uses and all that. And they get their loan of whatever the fuck. And they say, yeah, but I'm not paying you back. And now Klarna is literally about to go bankrupt because, bitch, nobody is paying them back. And, like, honestly, with inflation and how shit is really set up, how is that gonna work anyway? You see what I mean? But anyway, oh well, Klarna, we will see. This will be interesting to watch, I feel.
I don't know. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's talk about something else.
Breaking buy now, pay later, Klarna's losses have doubled in the first quarter as more and more customers fail to pay back their loans on time. Do I even need to tell you why at this point? Recession indicator. I've been telling you, people turn to Klarna to pay for essentials after they maxed out their credit cards. As you may recall, more and more people are using Klarna to afford groceries. But now things are so bad, they cannot even afford to pay Klarna off. That's just a sign of where we are in the economy. Now, before you think that I feel sorry for Klarna, remember this article. Klarna's CEO was bragging about just how many people that the company was able to replace with AI. He talked about saving millions of dollars by not hiring people to do jobs that AI could do, like marketing and customer service. But you know the one thing that AI can't do? It can't make people pay on time when they don't have any money in a terrible economy. This couldn't have happened to a nicer person or company. Klarna's CEO for bragging about replacing people with AI? You just made the D3 list, a podcast about dumb, desperate, and diabolical business decisions.
So Klarna is going bankrupt because nobody's paying them back. If you don't know what Klarna is, it's basically a payday advance type app that you can use specifically to buy things. So it's kind of like a small personal loan or like a very small credit card. You can use it to buy, at this point, pretty much anything. A creator made a video discussing this and it blew up. There's about 11,000 comments on that post. And the majority of the comments sound something like this. What do you mean you guys aren't paying back Klarna? We love Klarna. We need Klarna. You need to pay them back. We need them. Or, what do you mean you're financing groceries? What do you mean you're using Klarna for DoorDash? If you're that poor, you shouldn't be using Klarna. God, you people are awful with money. You people are under spells. You're under a spell. Wake the fuck up. This is a multi-million-dollar capitalistic company that you are sitting here riding the dick of like your life depends on it, saying, oh, we need to save them. We need to save them. I'm sorry, but the average consumer is not actually responsible for a multi-million-dollar capitalist company going under. Yes, maybe people should repay them if they, want to keep the service. However, it is also a business's responsibility to do risk management. And so if you're realizing you're so under because nobody's paying you back, you stop lending for a while. And they didn't do that. They just kept doing it because they don't give a fuck. And what are you gaining from riding for a huge company? Half of y'all, say you're leftists and you're in here like, oh, please save Klarna. Please save Klarna. Are you okay? Are y'all okay for real? And I know y'all love to say this shit, you shouldn't be using that for DoorDash because if you can't afford DoorDash, you shouldn't be doing it. Guess what? I know you guys hate to engage with the concept of this, but disabled people do exist and they do deserve to I don't know, have a nice meal every once in a while, and God forbid they can't afford it and still would like to have a nice meal. Sometimes people can't leave the house, and sometimes they want a nice meal. And guess what? That's human nature. Yeah, did you know that humans actually need more than just like food and shelter and water to survive? We're actually very social beings, and we need other people, and we need experiences, and we need to not eat slop and gruel 24/7 so we don't kill ourselves. Yeah, y'all are cooked. Y'all are cooked. How are you sitting here criticizing capitalism and then riding so hard for capitalism? I need to go back to bed because that is not what I wanted to see this morning.
What happened with Klarna is going to keep happening, I feel. One of the issues with a company like Klarna is the fact that they're being regulated separately as like a fintech company and not like a bank. So they're not required to kind of have the proper like risk management in place like an actual bank that's lending out money. So they can put themselves in a position like they did where they took on an alarmingly high percentage of subprime borrowers that were extremely likely to default so that they can grow their customer base. And then when the economy took a turn and they had a high number of defaults, they took on more risk than they were prepared to handle. And now they're in this worst case scenario where they don't have enough liquidity to bail themselves out. And stuff like this is going to keep happening with fintech companies as the economy continues to trend downward because they don't have regulations in place requiring them to do these things. So they're going to take these risks in order to grow so they can secure funding and look like they're growing their user base and whatnot. And stuff like this kind of pisses me off. That's why I've always kind of stayed away from fintech as a potential investment because of this kind of risk. If you ever talk to me about like investment, you know, I'm incredibly risk averse. And I mentioned these kind of long shot worst case scenarios a lot. And now they're starting to happen. And people are starting to see why I am the way that I am.